and welcome to World of Tanks with me, Cricketwes, and I've got a review for you today, a review of the Japanese Tier 8 heavy tank, the Oho, one of the more unusual heavy tanks in the game, mainly because it's Japanese. Don't ever recall the Japanese building heavy tanks, but there we are, it's in the game, so I'm going to review it. Starting off with the armour. Now, this thing is probably one of the most well-armoured Tier 8 heavies in the game. It's got 200mm frontal armour for the most part. The lower plate's still 200mm, and the upper plate, the main bit of the hull, is 200. This bit here is 105mm, but it's sloped really well, and if you angle it then you're easily going to get over 220, 230 effective armour thickness. Moving on to the sides of the tank, they're 105mm, not that strong. But down here you've got the space armour of the tracks as well, so heat shells and HE rounds don't do very well against that. Rear of the tank, 150mm, still very strong. Some tier 6s, or most tier 6s and 7s, will have difficulty penning this tank from the rear, especially if coming at it from a bit of an angle. Moving on to the turret, it's 200mm all round, very strong turret. Apart from these two flat strips here, I'm not sure if you can see that well, but there are two flat strips of just 200mm of armour to the left and the right side of the gun. So if you're in another tank, another tier 8, tier 9 tank, and you're facing up against one of these things, flat bits of the turret are probably best to shoot at, not these side bits here, because, well, unless you shoot them from flat on, then they're going to most likely bounce. One of the biggest misconceptions about this tank is that the mini turrets are weak spots, when they're actually not. They are still 200mm of armour. The guns on them, the guns on the mini turrets, I don't think they count as part of the collision model, so if you can just shoot straight through them, and they're 200mm thickness behind them. But apart from that, they're very strong, and this mini turret on the back here as well. Yeah, basically this tank is very well armed, apart from the sides. The sides are quite weak. Gun depression from the front, not that great, mainly because of the two mini turrets, but I think around the sides it's either 8 or 10 degrees, which on paper is good, but because this tank is so tall, well, it's still not that great. If you've got a tank, a low profile tank, say a Cromwell or a Cromwell B for example, up against your side, you probably won't be able to shoot them in ELCs and E25s, just forget it, not going to happen. Moving on to the stats of the tank, you've got 2129 base DPM with the 105mm gun, I think it's 105mm. If not, then it's 100mm. With the howitzer you get a bit more DPM, but it's obviously a howitzer, you have to penetrate each shot to do that amount of damage. I'll start off with the howitzer. You get 17-second reload time. It's the same gun you get on the OI at tier 6, so it's not that great at tier 8, unless you get into tier 10 matches, excuse me, where sometimes the howitzer is better off than the 105mm, because this 105mm only has 215mm of penetration, which is not that great for a tier 8 heavy. It puts it about on par with the Chinese tier 8 heavy, which I'm trying to remember, the 110, that's it. Puts it about on par with the 110, about 10mm less penetration than most other tier 8 heavies. But the reload is quite good. It's 9.3 seconds base value. I can get it down to about 8.1 or something, and then the DPM is actually quite good. I'll show you the effective values. Reload time with my setup here of gun rammer events and alert stabs. Get it down to 7.85 seconds, which is pretty decent, and the DPM goes all the way up to 2,500, which again is quite good. The accuracy on both guns is not that great. Big, heavy, wobbly tank is not great at all. Mobility 25 kilometers an hour top speed. Wow, it's a massive heavy tank which weighs about 200 tons. So yeah, it's not that manoeuvrable. 1200 horsepower. but again, it's still heavy. Train resistance is decent actually. I don't really know what to say about that, to be honest. Turret traverse is alright, 21 degrees, nothing special there. View range 388 meters with ventilation. That's pretty decent actually for a heavy tank, I think. 1700 health. Obviously you can have quite a lot of health in a heavy tank as big as this and as well armed as this, and yeah, 10 degrees of gun depression at the sides and 20 degrees of elevation. And yeah, 3 degrees of gun depression over the mini turrets, and only 5 at the back at the rear mini turret. Oh, I think that's about it stats wise, so let's get on to the replays. And the first replay I have for you today takes place on Sand River in a sort of tier 9 game. There's only 4 tier 9 tanks in this match, and I'm using the 105mm gun with a nice little marks of excellence on there. I don't know why they're hatchets or axes, whatever you want to call them, but they just are. So being one of 5 heavy tanks on the team, there are not that many heavy tanks in this match actually, and most of them are bottom tier, down at tier 7. I'm going to head over to the southern end of the map down here and try and use those dunes, because this tank does actually have decent gun depression towards the side of the tank and over here, not obviously between those 2 mini turrets there. It's quite poor, you're only getting minus 2 or 3 degrees there. But with a tank as heavy and as slow as this, it does take a bit of time to get into position. So you have to read the map quite carefully, see where enemy tanks are, where you predict enemy tanks are going to be. You have to be very aware, because once you've made a movement, you go to one position, it's very tricky to quickly move to another position, because this tank doesn't move quickly at all. So I've got backup of a Super Pershing, because he's going to be so much help in a matchup like this. Whereas everyone else has headed up to the northern flank. We've got a couple of campers on there, including a T-49, the tier 8 American light tank with a 150mm turret gun. I don't know why he's camping there. But we've got an Oni trying to defend the middle. I'm just going to sit here because I realise that most of the tanks defend the north, so it would be useless pushing, because I'll just get annihilated by tanks shooting at my side, which is completely flat. Have that much armor. Oni spotted in the middle. I've got more than enough penetration on this gun to deal with him and take a couple of big hits there. One of them was from the Oni with the dirt 353, the other one was from the T30 for a massive 702 damage. And just like that, I've lost 1,000 health already. But I angled the tank, used the 200mm frontal armour on this tank, angled it well, put a shot into that TVP. Camera just choked him out, don't know why that happened. Trying to get another shot at this Oni in the middle. There's a bit of rock in the way there, T54 mod. Trying to get a shot at him, he's in the buildings. Oh, but he's poked out now, and that was a bit of a lucky shot there, just a bit of a snapshot onto his turret. That TVP, oh, he stopped in the open. That's 336 more damage there. And can I still shoot him? I can. I wanted to do it to finish him off. Look at my first kill. Done 1800 damage already. The DPM on this gun isn't too bad, to be honest. It's about an 8-second reload for, what is it, 300 average damage? 330. So the DPM isn't too bad. And to be honest, when you're top tier with this gun, it's actually not too bad, because the penetration is good enough to deal with most tier 8 tanks, and some tier 9 tanks, especially that T30 on the side. Another 325 damage there. And that T54 one, I have no idea what he's doing. He's not the fastest medium tank in the world, but he's still trying to flank around the OE. And Yak Tiger 88, hold down. I'm not going to penetrate that. Not with 8 armor piercing, and I'm certainly not going to penetrate with HE. Since this gun doesn't get premium ammunition, which I think it should, with the low average penetration of 215, it should get premium ammunition, just to deal with some tier 9 and 10 tanks but this tank will meet. But we're 4 minutes into the battle now. I've done 3,400 damage because all the enemy tanks have just driven straight in front of my gun. Another thing though, that Yang Tiger and that T-29, they weren't shooting at me because they knew that, well, I've obviously got very strong frontal armor. So they decided to shoot at the super version behind me, who was now dead. Go for a blind shot into that side, the Yang Panther 2. Not sure whether it hit yet, but we'll see later to see how much health he's on. We're already winning 14-4. This match is only 4.5 minutes old and I've done almost 4,000 damage. But yeah, this tank when it's top tier or high up on the scoreboard, whatever, these things down the side, and you know you're going to have a good game. Put another shot into him, another 317 damage, he hits me, he bends me. I didn't really care at this moment because I beat the reload and pick up my third kill, and that's 4,400 damage. So here are the results for that game on Sand River. Ace Tanker, very obviously, fire through effect again, very obviously, high caliber, fairly obviously again, and Tanker Sniper, which is a bit of an unusual one. I didn't think I did too much sniping that game, but 70,000 credits earned as well, and 4,108 XP for the first one of the day. So, top of the team with 1,369 base experience without any multipliers whatsoever. 3 kills, 4,734 damage, which is the most damage I've done in the OHO, and whilst looking at it, our M41 Bulldog 90mm had a pretty good game as well. Moving on to the detailed report, I fired 18 shots, 16 of which hit, and all of those 16 penetrated the targets. 4,734 damage, dealt 1,731 of which was from a distance of more than 300 meters. Received 1,556 damage, blocked 1,520, giving me a potential damage outcome of 3,090 for the game. I even got in 562 spotting damage, despite only travelling 0.77 kilometers. So 70 grand in total earned, almost 39k profit with premium account, and 4,108 experience, doubled the first one of the day. And here is the second replay I have for you today for this review. We're on, I forgot the name of this map, Redshire, that's it. So from the south spawn, still using the 105mm gun, still with the Mark of Excellences. And we're going to head over to the natural spot for the heavy tank, E909, round about here, F9, F0, round about there. It will take a while to get, I'll just speed this up, so we can get into the action without much delay. Top tier again, well, not again, but wow, last match was pretty top tier. But yeah, this tank top tier is just god mode basically, as you will see in a few minutes. Quite a few heavy tanks on these teams actually, most of them, well, some of them top tier, about half of the heavy tanks on each team are top tier. And artillery in this game. Now this tank absolutely hates artillery because it's slow and fat and heavy, but luckily for me, very luckily in fact, artillery doesn't harm me that much at all this game, which is quite refreshing. And there are quite a few heavy tanks over there already. Super version, that Tiger. I try and block the Tiger, or at least try and block the enemy tanks from shooting and try and keep that Tiger alive for a bit longer. A bit of teamwork there. Kill the T-34 with my second shot in this game. A nice shot into the T-29, nice high roll. He backs off, I'm going to penetrate his turret from there. T-150 probably am going to penetrate his turret. Bit of a lucky shot actually, I think that only just clipped the commander's cube. Super Pershing, reasonably well armed from the front, goes straight through his lower plate, through that bit of space down on whatsoever. Kill the T-150, he's not much of a threat to be honest. Definitely not to me from the front, and not really to that 112 either. Don't go for that shot on the T-150, and couldn't quite get the gun down far enough to shoot the lower plate, because the mini turrets, these are really quite annoying if you play this for a long time. As I've done, I've got around about 100, 150 games in this. I've played it for quite a while. Because, to be honest, I didn't mind it. I didn't like it to start with, really, because it was too slow, and those mini turrets are quite annoying. Bounce shot from the SU-100 there, off the rear mini turret, which is a little bit unusual. Bounce off the IS-3, there's this tank's lack of penetration, and IS-3 ends me. He shouldn't have too much difficulty pinning me. He probably got my track right about there, which is straight through. I get his inner track him, trying to go for the amber action of the IS-3, or just keep on track. He gets my outer track and my radio. I mean, he didn't get my track, he just got my radio, which is a bit doing damage, just getting the radio knocked off. That cable while he was trying to come around. And that's one advantage of this tank, which can also be a disadvantage, is the height of this tank. I don't know, it's not on the camera. But yeah, because this tank is so tall, you can quite easily shoot down on the weak spot of the IS-3's turret quite easily. And I've got to make a bit of a decision here. Do I stay and help that T-29 fight those guys, or go for the T-29 then turn around, knowing that the allied T-29 will most likely be dead by the time I get back? Go for the T-29, stop, turn around, hopefully that T-29 will still be alive. Good shot from artillery there to kill the KV-85. T-29 takes a hit from the supervision. Unfortunately, I can't keep him alive for the rest of the game. Put a shot to the supervision, nice high roll again, and I've got 5 kills already and 4,000 damage, and artillery hits me for 1 damage. Ooh, so dangerous. That is 51. 1 damage. I did hit that supervision there, that's a bit of a bug in the replay. Missed the shot because of the mini turret again, which is forcing my gun up. And because this tank weighs 200 tons, and the supervision is about 50, round him easily. Pick up my top gun and 4,100, and either 4,128 or 4,126 damage. Well, I'm not sure, we'll see in the results after this game. All that's left is the S51, heavy AMX 75 kills him easily, and yeah, that's that. Here are the results for that game on Redshire. Ace tank it again. What is that, Bruiser? I don't know what that next token is actually. Fire for effect, steel wall, high caliber, and top gun. Once again, top of the team at slightly more experience than last time, 1419. This time, despite doing about 200 less damage, but I did get 3 more kills. Finally, the detailed report. I fired 20 shots, hit 18 of them, but only penetrated 16 of them as before. Did 200 less damage than before, despite penetrating the same amount of shots. Damage received 1148, damage brought by armor 1660, potential damage outcome 2840. Gained 68,209 credits earned out of that game, but only made a profit of just under 50k, which is still pretty decent with a premium account. And I got 10,645 XP for that win, because times 5 weekend. So to sum up, the OHO is a very well armoured tier 8 heavy tank, which can bounce shots from even some tier 10 tanks if you angle the armour well. And top tier, it's safe to say it's one of the most powerful heavy tanks tier for tier in the game, despite the below average penetration and mediocre accuracy. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up, you can subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment on your thoughts on the OHO. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.